Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and to Ericozy, be careful what you wish for. Now, as I have mentioned previously, I have had the pleasure of chatting on several occasions with the Sheriff of Manitowoc, Robert Hermann. During my first phone call, he pointed out that the mood at the Sheriff's office was relaxed and that everybody was going about their business as usual. He invited me to come and visit and to have a look round and meet his staff. However, he then said something that surprised me. I hadn't asked him about his election victory over Andy Colburn to become sheriff back in 2006. He simply came out and stated that he gets on fine with Andy Colburn and that there are no hard feelings. But why did he feel the need to give me an answer to a question that I hadn't even asked? He was unhappy that Kenneth Kratz's texting had been included in Making a Murderer. Now, after several more emails, I phoned again. He told me that he had looked me up. He said, "I see you play the accordion. My mother also plays the accordion." We discussed families. We both had a good laugh. I told him that I had 5 children. His reply was, "You've been busy, Paul." I also took time to try and explain why somebody who lives nearly 4,000 miles away was taking such an interest in the affairs of Manitowoc. I explained that if the situation were reversed, I would hope that he would have the common decency and humanity to contact me. I pointed out that for me, the worst part of the case was that 2 of his officers planted evidence, took an oath in God's name, then lied. By September of 2016, I had sent Robert several hundred emails, and we have had about a dozen phone conversations. On one occasion, the magic key was discussed. He said, "I know you're not going to accept this, but not all the searches of Mr. Avery's bedroom were for several hours. Some were only sweeps of the room for 10 to 15 minutes. I could sense his embarrassment. In one of his emails to me, he described the 1985 wrongful conviction of Stephen Avery as unfortunate. To this date, I believe I'm right in saying that Manitowoc County's Sheriff's Office have never offered Stephen an apology. Now, talking about apologies, on several occasions I have told Robert that if Stephen and Brendan were ever proven to be guilty, remembering, of course, that Kathleen Zellner told Steve right from the start, "If you're guilty, I'm going to find out," that I would be the first to contact him and apologise. But what should happen to his department when Stephen and Brendan are finally proven innocent? He couldn't answer that. Another question he could not answer was, why has Kathleen Zellner taken on this case? During one conversation, he did chillingly tell me that Mr. Avery will spend the rest of his life in prison. I sensed that this was a well-rehearsed and quoted line, but also that he has been given assurances from higher up the food chain that certain safeguards have been put in place. Now, I continue to write to him as, in his first reply, he had thanked me for my concerns. He has said that he could sense the different tones of my emails, sometimes happy, sometimes angry. He was certainly angry with me after I had called him a coward in one of my emails. He took the following phone call, but said that he no longer wished to speak with me, and put the phone down. When I phoned him back, I apologised if I had overstepped the mark. And I have always pointed out to him that if he wished me to cease contact, I would respect his wishes. During our next phone call, I had pressurised him with my assertion that when things start going wrong in Wisconsin because of the evidence that Kathleen Zellner is uncovering, he could be one of the first to be thrown under the bus. Now, he may indeed as he has always insisted, have nothing to do with Steve's conviction, but I pointed out that there is a proven track record of framing innocent people. At that point, he conceded that once Kathleen Zellner finds evidence, he will have to contact her. He realised my point that the state will only be able to protect Manitrot County Sheriff's Office for so long. It was during our next phone call that he asked me if the RAV4 had been tested. I explained that as far as I knew, the vehicle was still in storage in Madison, but that Kathleen Zellner had an identical vehicle that she was conducting tests on. We also discussed fingerprints, both the unidentified ones found in the car and those of Stephen that should have been but were not found. He tried to fob me off with the claim that they don't always get fingerprints due to the lack of smooth surfaces. I did not accept his opinion. If Steve had driven the car, there would be plenty of his fingerprints inside and outside the car. Interestingly, several times I have suggested that if Stephen were guilty, he would then need to explain how, when, where and why he did it. It certainly wouldn't be the way it was presented at trial. He conceded. That would be interesting.